I don't know. I don't know what we paid for. I don't know what we're gonna get. I don't know what's gonna happen.
Hey everyone, welcome to NOTIERS Frontiers. Sadly there is no motorcycle behind us today.
Yeah, in our last episode you may have noticed that it got cut short a little bit because we were stopped by the police.
We got caught, folks, parking 5 feet on the grass. But yeah, three park rangers.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh dear.
She might be telling us to... I just don't want to get a ticket. Nothing says don't. Hi! Let me turn this off.
Yeah, and even the canine unit
And the
came.
canine, yeah.
I mean, we weren't that far from the road, but we had parked the motorcycle in the grassy area before the forest, and so that is not allowed.
It is not. We were asked if we had a filming permit, which was also equally ridiculous.
Yeah.
But
I think part of it is just us coming from Africa. Like, I didn't even think twice about it. Yeah, like, oh, here's a great place to put the motorcycle.
Yeah.
It's grassy and flat. But now that we're back in the States, I have remembered that, yes, it's important to park in proper parking spots.
Yeah. So we left the bike behind, and now we found a nice little secluded area in a river. You can hear some birds chirping, but so indeed.
It is quite pretty. So last time we were talking about entering Guatemala through the north and visiting the incredible Mayan ruins of Tikal. Now that will be the last Mayan ruins that we see for a very long time, and it was an excellent finale. But as we journeyed further into Guatemala, we started delving more and more into its natural sites and the culture. One thing I really love about Guatemala is the fact that it has a lot of natural beauty, such as volcanoes, mountains everywhere, twisty roads, and very vibrant cultures. It has a lot of indigenous culture, a lot of indigenous languages are spoken there. People wear colorful textiles and traditional clothing.
And they'll have like a particular region will have a bunch of birds as their textile print. Another one will have like hats, you know, other ones will be flowers, and you know, the locals will be able to look at them and say, oh, you're wearing that floral design, you must be from north of Lake Atitlan, or
exactly.
You know.
So we headed off from Tikal in the north. Basically, Guatemala kind of looks like it has a top hat on. So that northern part was the Petén, and it's very rainforesty and somewhat flat. But then we started heading south. We went almost all the way to the Belizean border again and went to a town called Chahal. Because, like I said, it's very mountainous in most of Guatemala, and we started seeing these hills everywhere, small little rounded hills, and the road just wound between them.
like if you did like an aerial view of the road, you know, it'd be in cursive saying, "I hope you have a nice ride," because it's just these twisty, awesome roads. We were still with Phil and Sepna, which was awesome. One bummer, kind of, is the roads were very narrow, and you know they weren't in the same shape as in like Mexico and such.
Yeah, this was kind of like our first encounter with not the greatest roads.
Yeah. And you get stuck behind a truck, it's really difficult to pass because they are, you know, these little loop-de-loops going in every direction. And so you're kind of behind a truck, or if you feel like risking it, you know, you can peek your head behind and gun it. But
also, they were really polluting trucks. Like, they didn't have very good pollution.
Emissions.
Yeah, emission standards. So it's not awesome being stuck behind one of those trucks just spewing at you. But in general, the roads were gorgeous. I mean, these hills were just covered in this jungle foliage. It was hot, it was steamy, and it was super, super green. You can see these flowers in the trees.
Yeah, oranges. Weren't there like oranges everywhere?
I mean, they grow all sorts of fruits there too, like just banana trees and pineapples, agave as well, which isn't a tree, but it's still really cool looking. I mean, it's as tropical as can be. Really, really cool. Another thing I like about Guatemala is they have, their money is named after a bird.
Quetzal.
Yeah, Quetzalcoatl, I think, is the full name. And it's a very rare bird now. It has this long, long tail. We didn't see any, but they're supposed to be really beautiful. And
it's like a tiny bird, like as big as a swallow, and then a tail that's like 6 feet or something ridiculously.
It's insanely long. I think it might be like 3 feet long, but still, it's a really, really long tail. And it was very important to the traditional Mayan cultures as well, the Quetzal. So they've named their money after that, which is cool. So you pay everything in quetzales. We took the road down to Chajal, and from there we wanted to see one of Guatemala's most famous natural sites called Samuk Champey.
It's a bunch of natural pools that are very colorful, and a lot of tourists flock to them.
They're kind of like tiers. They go down in steps, and got, you know, just crystal clear turquoise water in them.
Yeah, and it's really expensive, and there's not a lot of options to stay at except like expensive hotels, and some of the roads are so torn up that they even stop you and you have to go in like 4x4 jeeps. But the more I looked into it, the less attractive it was sounding, just being overpopulated. It's the one picture that everybody gets that's on all the tourist pamphlets. And we were talking with the hotel owner, and we were kind of debating, and he spoke English, which was cool. So he overheard Marissa and I being like, I don't know if we should go. I mean, I'm sure it's beautiful, but rah rah. And he said, I got the solution for you that you got to do. There's a set of waterfalls called Las Conchas.
Las Conchas.
Las Conchas. And he said it's absolutely beautiful. Only the locals know about it. All of the tourists flock to Samuk Champey. But this one is isolated, it's secluded, you can jump off the waterfall, it's a mini paradise.
And there's caves next
to
it too, or nearby that you can explore.
And so Phil and Sepna were headed to the big attraction, to Samuk, and we fared them goodbye for the moment because Marissa and I wanted to head out and see Las Conchas.
Yeah, we really wanted to explore something that was off the beaten path, that not that many people would see.
It's such a valuable resource for local knowledge.
Yeah.
So
it was really lucky that we came across that guy.
Yeah. So we took him up on it, and we found it.
It went down a little trail through the jungle to get there.
and there was no one there. There was like a bus stop, like parking lot that we pulled into, you know, and there wasn't like really a parking area or anything. There was a sign that stated where it was, and then all of a sudden, out of the woodwork, we got surrounded by like 7 4-foot-tall women and 6 little kids that were all trying to sell us their goods.
And they were beautifully dressed in these colorful garments.
Yeah.
And, you know, for them, some of them, Spanish is their second language. And so communication isn't always awesome. It's also my second language. And so we were struggling a little bit. But it became clear enough, you know, they had some things to sell.
They had
homemade chocolate,
which was insanely amazing. And they also had little fruit cubes that were like the texture of a leathery fruit roll-up. Not the most delicious thing in the world, but they were all selling the same thing, and there were 7 of them. And you can't just be like, just you. Here's the one thing. And there were 0 nothing cents per whatever, and so.
Yeah, we just bought a bunch, and
we bought a couple from each and every one of them.
Yeah.
Which was the right and fair thing to do.
That is correct.
Indeed.
And then we had to leave our motorcycle there as we went to the waterfalls.
And this little kid, I paid him. I was like, I'll give you money, and I gave him like, and I forget the conversion rate because it happened too many times.
Yeah, like 10 quetzales or something.
Yeah, I said I'll give you a couple bucks, but you know, watch my bike, make sure no one takes anything. And he said, you know, and sat down right in front of it and just stared at the front tire, and we took off into the waterfalls.
Yeah, into the jungle trail that led to a boardwalk that went along these amazing waterfalls.
It was one of my favorite hidden gems of all time throughout the entire 4 years. So romantically secluded. We were met by.
There was no one else there.
There was a dog. There was an old, beat up, rusty, bless his soul, he's probably not with us anymore, but limping around, mangy dog that became our tour guide.
Yeah.
And he saw us, got in front of us, and walked us to the waterfalls.
He was super sweet.
Super sweet dog. And I am afraid of heights, but I had to jump off this thing. It was too beautiful.
I didn't. I was too afraid.
No.
Yeah.
And I mean, it took me a half hour of, peeking over the edge and, trying to judge where I'm going to land and if I'm actually committing or not. No, I'm not. I'm going to think about it for another couple minutes.
I mean, it's tall. I don't know how many meters tall it is exactly, but
but it was up there.
Pretty tall waterfall, yeah.
But finally, I did jump off, and after I jumped off once, I jumped off 20 more times. It was absolutely awesome.
Perfect.
Yeah, and Marisa sat there and watched and giggled, and I swam back to shore, and I had my GoPro on me and my little stupid selfie stick and jumped off with it. And then there's this boardwalk that leads up to like a viewpoint, a lookout point, where you can see the falls and the river snaking up out of sight. And then the boardwalk itself sneaks along the river, and we walked for half a mile up this thing, and then it kind of ended at just a bunch of foliage you couldn't get through.
They also had a mirador, which is like a viewing point. It was a wooden structure, like a tower, that they built so that you can see the waterfalls kind of from a higher viewpoint, which was really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
And it was like paradise there.
It was
so
amazing.
hot out, and the water was so warm and refreshing at the same time. And it was this jungle, like the greens and the blues, and there was no one there.
Just 0 people.
Perfect.
It was insanely amazing, and I couldn't thank the hotel owner enough. And then I remembered that I forgot that I hired some kid to watch my motorcycle, and we've been there for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, we need to go relieve this kid of duty. He's probably gone, and so would I if somebody was like, watch my thing, and then an hour and a half later. But we walked out of the park, and the dog says thank you for visiting and left, and we bid him farewell, and there was the same kid just still, he didn't even notice us walking up to the bike because he was just
concentrating so hard on that front tire.
So I gave him another 10K stall.
Yeah.
And that was awesome. And
that
so
was amazing.
we knew since the first suggestion that the hotel owner gave us, we had to check out these caves too.
Yeah.
And now half the day was burnt, but we can go check out caves and still get back home in time. They were very, very hard to find though. We actually had to go back to the hotel and say, where are these caves? I can't find the turnoff. And one of his little minions, his little bellboy guys, hopped on a small little 150cc motorcycle and led us there. And the reason why we couldn't find it is because it's down this narrow path between
scary.
2 things of barbed wire.
I was so scared. I mean, we're following this guy, so we can't just be like, hey, stop. Like, wait, we're not gonna go down this road. Like, your motorcycle is very small and very light, and we are huge. Like, I felt like either side of the motorcycle was going to touch
a foot
this
away
barbed
from at
wire.
all times from hitting something, and
and it wasn't flat.
No, it was hilly and rocky, and there's cow poop everywhere, but you hit the cow poop. That's the last thing that I was worried about. But we finally get there, and then there's this little rustic gate, and he opens it, and we go in, and then there's like this little hut.
It's a farm.
It's a farm, and there's turkeys that are trying to protect their area, and they did not like us nearly as much as the dog.
No, they're not so friendly in general, I don't think.
But we signed in, we looked at the little registry list, and the last person to have gone there was like 3-4 months prior.
And they were all Guatemalan, because you have to put where you're from. So we really felt like this is special, this is some local knowledge that only the local Guatemalans know about, and we felt like explorers, like, aha, we have discovered this, we better go call National Geographic or something.
They asked us if we wanted to go rafting through it, and I was like, oh poop, man, I totally wish that we planned this out better, because rafting for $1.50 through the,
amazing. But we were running out of time in the day. It was going to be nightfall.
But 2 little ladies in very beautiful dresses walked us even further down the path to where we were to meet our tour guide.
I don't know what we paid for. I don't know what we're gonna get. I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh, they were lovely.
They were really
just
cool.
The beautiful outfits, and they spoke 0 Spanish. I mean, this was very indigenous, this area. I just felt like I was on this exploration trek through the jungle, and they were leading us to these incredible caves.
It was really cool. There was these open fields with banana trees everywhere, and then like these, I've never been to Venezuela, but it looked like those little peaky hills just popping up just everywhere.
It was a very strange landscape, because when you think mountains or you think hills, you think this like rolling landscape. But this was almost like bubble wrap. It was like tiny mounds that just came out of the earth, and then little tiny valleys and paths to walk between the mounds, and it was all covered in jungle foliage. It was very unique and beautiful. You felt like every turn in the path was its own secluded little valley with a little garden that they had made there.
And
beautiful.
We met up with our guide and we walked to this open field where we put on helmets to go spelunking, is it called? I don't know.
Yeah.
Caving. We went, you know.
Hi.
He said, do you guys want to go rafting? Are you guys camping here? And there was all these cool options to do in the middle of absolute nowhere where we can hear monkeys hollering, and you know, it's like, man, I wish I brought my tent. It was pretty hot, but we've been camping the whole time in the heat. But we didn't have any of that goodness, so we said, you know, pretty much we suck at life, and we forgot all the stuff. We didn't know that these were options, and so we just went through the cave system, which was just this big open bass mouth,
it was so
whale's
cool.
mouth.
Sí, va bajando, va bajando. 5:30, cabal. Ajá.
Wow. We came into this one open area to begin with, and by the end of the tour through these tiny, narrow passages in the cave, we ended up at, it was like a balcony overlooking
where we entered the mouth
the big
of the
area.
Wow.
It was really cool.
There's water in it, and like if we were to have gone rafting, you can kind of do like the lazy river thing and go in between like the grottos and through the cave systems, and
everyone has to go.
everyone well, no,
Cave
it's a hidden
set
secret.
sold. Oh yeah,
Just-
don't tell anyone else though.
But and like as we were walking through, there's these like hollow stalactite formations that Marissa picked. You know, she
Oh yeah,
she
the
like
musical
played
ones.
a little ding 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 thing on those type things. Remind me of Under the Sea from Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
But no, it was a real cool experience, and
amazing.
we crawled out, and there was a tree bigger than any of the sequoias I've seen. Just
Yeah, actually there was a group of people bathing in the river.
They rode their horses there
They
from
rode their
wherever
horses
they
there.
call home.
It was amazing. What an incredible, not just natural experience, but cultural experience too that we had out there. And all I could think about though was we have to take that barbed wire road out. Man, was I scared, but you were a pro.
I
You
didn't
did it
kill us.
perfectly.
I figured if we hit that barbed wire, we'd wrap up into little burritos and be there until some farmer.
Like, don't tell my mother. Don't tell my mother. It was so scary.
But yeah, so that was fantastic.
That was such an incredible day.
It's all about luck and opportunity.
Yeah.
And I'm sure Phil and Stepna had a great time at Simuk
Champay.
Champay, but I wouldn't have traded our experience for that postcard shot that, you know, is fairly recognizable.
That's right. It was perfect.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give us a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below. And we will be seeing you next time.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Peace.